My mother-in-law wanted to use me like a cow and pump breast milk for her so she could bond with her baby. Posted by you/excellent amount 438. So I am a first-time mom, and this whole experience has been very overwhelming for me. My wonderful baby just hit 3 months and is officially no longer a newborn. I have been lucky enough that I have good supply, so my baby girl is exclusively breastfed, except for any excess that we use when my husband does her night feeds. I have made it very clear to most of our friends and family that I don't want anyone but me or my husband feeding her. My mother-in-law has been slightly annoyed, bordering on judgmental, about this but has mostly kept her mouth shut. We have never had any issues in the past, so I just chalked it up to her wanting to bond with the baby. I might allow it when she's older, but for now, I'm not comfortable with anyone else doing it. So we were over at my sister-in-law's house for her son's birthday, and while all the cousins and husbands played outside, me and all the ladies sat inside playing past the baby. She ends up in my mother-in-law's arms and begins to fuss and make her hungry cry. I stood up and went to take her, before she pulled her back and told me to go make a bottle. I told her no, that I would go to the guest room and feed her. My sister-in-law stood too and said she had some formula and would make it for me. I refused again and quickly took my baby, saying she's never had formula, and I don't want her to be sick. My mother-in-law sighs, rolls her eyes, and asks, "Why don't you just pump some so I can feed my baby?" I must have been visibly horrified because one of my other sisters-in-law stood and tried to guide me away by my shoulder. I took her to the other room to feed her and sat in there with her for the rest of the party. The sister-in-law whose party it was came to find me. I almost hit her when she said, "Don't you think it's a little selfish you won't let mom feed the baby? You could have just pumped a couple ounces for her." I said I will never pump anything for anyone because I'm not a cow and she's my baby. She declared I was being bitchy and walked away. My husband doesn't know this is all happening, but on the ride home, his mother and 2 of the other wives texted me to tell me it was unfair to hog my baby and to make it so she couldn't bond with anyone else, and that I should have just pumped before I came so I didn't have to hide her away. My mother-in-law specifically said that I was being so selfish with her only granddaughter, and it wasn't fair to her that she couldn't even feed her baby. I just texted back that it wasn't her baby, and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I know I should tell my husband, but I don't want to add more strain as he and his mother are still trying to heal their relationship from when they had a big fight a couple years ago. I don't want to cause drama, but I'm starting to feel very guilty, especially since I'm still getting tons of texts about how cruel I'm being. Am I the jerk for refusing to pump for my mother-in-law? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Not the jerk. As you said, you are not a cow. This is the natural way for this to go because we were made to breastfeed and bond with our babies. Mother-in-law already had her babies and her baby bonding. Ops response. Thank you. They were really starting to get to me, and I was worried maybe I was really just being mean with her. Commenter 2. Not the jerk. They actively got bonding time. What do they think holding the baby is? Bonding time. Feeding a baby is not the only way to bond with them. Neither of my daughters took a bottle. My parents still bonded with her plenty. I actually think they only ever gave a handful of bottles to my son, because I was pretty adamant in the beginning about being the only one to give him a bottle once a night. He nursed every other feeding, since my husband was gone for training and couldn't have that experience. My son is a total Grammys boy at almost 5 years old. My middle is a complete papa's girl at almost 2. They didn't need to feed them bottles in order to create the bond they have with them. My daughter actually was not fond of my dad until she was about 10 months old. She would scream if he even looked at her. Sounds like your mother-in-law and your sisters-in-law are just boundary stompers and have zero respect for you. Ops response. I guess all the other wives have let her feed their babies. My husband had 4 brothers and 1 sister, and of them all, I'm the only one who's had a girl. It's been a whole fuss, and I've already let her have so much more time with baby than I would have liked. My father-in-law couldn't care less, and doesn't even want to hold her, but he's not a baby guy. It's also hard because I don't have my parents in my life, so I want her to have grandparents, and I want to keep the peace. Commenter 3. Looks as if she tried a sneak attack with a whole "I'll go get some formula" plan from your sister-in-law. It was planned out that way. You are right as far as your baby getting sick if suddenly fed formula. I'd tell your husband the next time he wants you to be around your mother-in-law. Tell him everything, and that you may not want to be left alone with her next time you are at a gathering. Especially since she used a flying monkey to try to get you to take her off of breast milk. Ops response. If I tell him, he may cut her off for a while entirely. Someone said I'm making my village small, and it's my fault, and it'll be hard on my baby, which is making me worry that I should just start letting other people feed her. Commenter 4. Not telling your husband just allows your mother-in-law to slant the event to her advantage. Keeping secrets from your husband, even for his own good, is a bad precedent. Op's response: I'm definitely sitting him down when he gets home from work. I hate to make their relationship worse, but this whole thing is making me realize she probably shouldn't have a ton of access to me or baby. Op adds an edit to her post. Small bit of context. My little sister choked whilst being fed by our great aunt and almost died. She hadn't been holding her properly, and my sister had to be rushed to the hospital. I was very young, but the memory is still very fresh in my mind, even when my husband is feeding our baby. I never want my baby to be unsafe while being fed, and I worry about other people feeding her because of this. Op adds a second edit to her post. I have absolutely nothing against formula, and I absolutely would have supplemented if needed. I ended up getting very lucky to have adequate supply for my baby. Formula is necessary for so many mothers out there, and while breast is technically better, I don't think anyone should be shamed for needing to use formula or choosing not to breastfeed. My daughter's pediatrician told me he prefers I keep her on breast milk as long as I can, and that formula could potentially lead to her getting stomach upset. Update same day. So after everyone's suggestions, I decided I was going to talk to my husband when he got home from work. I put the baby down to sleep before initially posting, and I posted because of all the messages from my mother-in-law and sisters-in-law. Apparently, his oldest brother's wife had called him today at work and told him what my mother-in-law had said and what the other wives had said when I left the room. We sat at the kitchen table, and I had him read the messages from start to finish. He was upset with me at first for keeping it from him, then hugged me and said he hated that I had to go through this alone. He went upstairs to call his mother. He told me after about 10 minutes on the phone that until the baby is a year old, my mother-in-law will have minimal contact, as well as his sister not being allowed around the baby either. He told me to block both their numbers for the time being, and so I did. He also told me that their fight 2 years ago was over his mother trying to get him back with his ex right after he proposed to me, and that's why they stopped talking for the rest of that year. He said he told his mother that if she pushes for more next time we give her an opportunity, that it would be her last chance at a granddaughter. This has all progressed so quickly, and everyone was right about talking to my husband. I wish I had gone right to him when it happened, but I was so worried to put more strain. Thank you for all the advice. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Kudos to your sister-in-law that called your husband. And major kudos to your husband. Just worry about taking care of yourself and little one, and let your husband handle the rest. Op's response. I just want to savor her as much as I can while she's still so little. I love my husband for all that he does. And I couldn't love that sister-in-law more if I tried. She's definitely getting a gift basket. Commenter 2. And when you are ready to have someone else give her a bottle with breast milk, the formula part made me go WTF. Might I suggest this, Auntie? At some point, you and your husband do deserve to get a babysitter and have a date night. Op's response. Absolutely, she's a total savior. She has like 3 boys of her own and they're the most well-behaved of all the cousins. She was the one who tried to pull me away from the situation. Second update 1 day later. My husband got home early tonight, and we checked my phone together. Messages totaled out to mother-in-law, 14 voicemails, 23 calls, 67 texts. Sister-in-law, 8 Facebook messages, 4 phone calls, 17 texts. Father-in-law, but clearly from my mother-in-law, 4 more voicemails, 5 calls, and 31 texts. I let my husband handle them, as I didn't feel like reading them while already feeling so stressed about it. Afterwards, he took about an hour to calm down in the basement. The messages, from what little he did feel comfortable telling me, were about how I was tearing the family apart with my selfish behavior, and why do I even bring the baby around if I don't want them bonding with her. One voicemail was 20 or so minutes long, and it was apparently just her talking about how all the kids are both breastfed, formula fed so grandma can help, and I'm depriving myself of her assistance. I heard part of her rant saying how she knows best because she had 6 kids under 7/8 at the same time, and that me being so particular is going to make other babies impossible for me. Which is unfair, because she wants 2 granddaughters, and I'm the only one that can give them to her. My girl is the first girl baby, and all 12 of her cousins are boys. My husband made 1 phone call and told her if she is going to just drain my phone battery, she will be permanently blocked from my phone. I called my OB today to talk about possibly getting a consult for a therapist to talk about my potential postpartum anxiety. While I'm sure this situation certainly is adding to it, I want to be as healthy as I can for my baby. Third update 3 weeks later. So since this all started, my husband has fully cut contact with all but his oldest brother and his wife. The rest of his siblings and in-laws were all firmly on my mother-in-law's side. Everything has been peaceful, aside from the occasional phone call from an unknown number. He spoke with his mother in person one time while I was at a checkup for the baby. He told her that he is uncomfortable with her being in our and the baby's life while she's treating me this way. He said that she cried and tried to switch blame onto me about the situation, which he refused. She has shown up once or twice just to leave gifts for the baby. I have eased up a bit on my anxiety and have had 2 therapy appointments so far. I am very lucky, as my job gave me an extension for maternity leave. I talked to the baby's pediatrician, and he recommended a good brand of formula for us to have on hand for any emergency. I appreciate all the support, and I apologize for the underwhelming update. I don't think my mother-in-law is necessarily a bad person, but she's used to getting her way, especially with her family and the other women. I may update again if anything else drastic happens, but the baby is happy and healthy and meeting all her milestones, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I'm glad your husband stood up for you. Sounds like you've got a good guy there. Stay strong, you're doing a great job of not allowing yourself to be bullied and setting a great precedent for your child. Commenter 2. So glad your husband has your back. But let's be clear, your mother-in-law is a bad person. She and her daughter planned and executed an episode of bullying you into doing something you weren't comfortable with. She also tried to make your husband get back with his ex after he proposed to you. Objectively, she is a bad person, and you should stop telling yourself different.